The Disney Imagineering move to Florida has been delayed until 2026. Curious. An update on the continued momentum for the Princess and the Frog refurb of Splash Mountain. And Disney has revealed a new $100,000 luxury vacation around the world. And I've got some thoughts. We'll talk about all this next on Fresh Baked. Hi guys, David here with Fresh Baked, and we've got some news for you from around the Disney company. Some of it doesn't seem like a lot on the surface, but I find it to be very, very interesting. I want to share my thoughts with you. And our first story is regarding the news that Disney has delayed their plans to move their Imagineering department to Lake Nona, Florida. Per Disney, the expected opening date for the campus has been pushed back to 2026 to quote-unquote give people more time and to accommodate the construction timeline for the new offices. Now, this is curious, as I alluded to in the opening, because this campus was supposed to be done at the end of this year. They were supposed to open up year ending 2022. That's a delay of at least 3 years, up to 4 years even. More curious because they're kind of labeling this as a construction delay. They're talking about extending the construction timeline. But that asks the question, how does it go from being a few months away from completion to 4 years away from completion? Even more curious is that when this news was initially revealed, when the move was revealed, it was reported that Disney was giving those cast affected, mostly Imagineering, all of them very well paid, by the way, they were giving those cast affected 3 months to decide whether or not they were going to accept that move, stay with the Disney company, accept the move, and ship themselves off to Florida. Analysis. It's a strange move. And the low-hanging fruit in terms of motivations for why they might do this is that this is a response to the state of Florida's attempt to remove the Reedy Creek Improvement District benefits that Disney currently enjoys. Benefits that give Disney some very special, very unique abilities and benefits that give them a competitive advantage to other theme parks in the Florida area. Now, if you're not aware of what the Reedy Creek Improvement District is, please check out our other videos on this topic at the end of this one. But the shorthand is that Disney basically acts as their own government at Walt Disney World. There is no oversight. They have complete autonomy. And the state of Florida has voted to remove all of those benefits from Disney. And some would argue that this is a response to that move. Not the response, not the sum total of their response, but a response. A take back of their own. They're going to take something back from Florida that they were bringing. 2,000 jobs, all of whom, I think the average salary for those 2,000 cast members was something like $120,000 per year. So that's a significant amount of, income that could be spent in the state of Florida. And obviously the state of Florida wants that in there because they were giving Disney a tax break to do this. Which takes me to my next point, because I don't think it's that easy. I don't think it's so easy to say this is Disney responding to Florida's response to the, with the Reedy Creek situation. The bottom line is the bottom line, and that's that if Disney were to forego their new Imagineering campus, if they were to cancel that project, for example, they would be out more than $500 million in tax breaks that were being given to Disney in order to build this campus, in order to bring those cast into Florida. It's the whole reason why they built this campus to begin with. It's the reason why they're bringing all those cast over. And I don't see them giving that up just so that they could spite the state of Florida. What is more likely is that Disney is simply recognizing that the economy is in not such a great spot right now. Inflation is high. There's the talk of a recession very soon. And these factors could put a damper on Disney's willingness to part with funds for non-essential projects like the Lake Nona project. And that would reconcile with a 4-year delay. 4 years, not because it's going to take that long to build it, but 4 years because they don't have the money or they don't want to spend the money to build it today. They'd rather spend the money in 4 years. Further analysis. I do expect that the Lake Nona campus to be completed, and I fully expect for Disney to eventually move that Imagineering cast over to Lake Nona. But there is a silver lining to this. For the short term is that at least it'll give those cast affected more time to make their decisions, more time to make their plans, more time to get their affairs in order if they do decide to move to Florida, more time to maybe look for another job, perhaps, if they don't want to go to Florida. It may even give them, Disney that is, more time to consider the possibility of leaving some of that Imagineering cast here in Southern California. I, for one, think it would be foolish to neglect the opportunity to find some very creative, very talented, homegrown Imagineers right here in Southern California. Talent they may not otherwise have had access to if everything was being done in Florida. Talent that wouldn't want to make that move to Florida. They would rather stay here in Southern California. Perhaps that talent might wind up going to work for, I don't know, somebody else. They might go to work for one of their competitors, Knott's Berry Farm, Universal, you name it. I've heard of a lot of them. A lot of Imagineers have gone to Airbnb and doing those themed Airbnb spots. So for now, I think it's, even if I expect that Lake Nona move to happen, in 4 years rather than now, it's still an opportunity for things to get better for those affected. We'll check back though in 2026 to see how this story unfolded. But next, let's talk about the recent profile done for Essence magazine on Disney Imagineer Cherita Carter. Cherita's story is kind of awesome in that it makes me think of old school Disney, where Walt would take people out of their comfort zone, something that we were just talking about on our live stream last night, and ask them to do things they thought maybe they would never do. Disneyland itself was built not by theme park designers, but by stage designers, artists, engineers, not professionals in theme park design. And Cherita's beginnings with the Disney company started just like that, in the accounting department. But she did eventually find her way to the Imagineering team, most recently leading the team that built Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway at Walt Disney World, and now coming to Disneyland. She's now involved also with the Princess and the Frog update to Splash Mountain. In the profile on Essence, Miss Carter states that she, and I'm paraphrasing, that she's nervous and feeling a lot of pressure to make everybody proud. Understandable, considering how this project found its way into the public consciousness to begin with, and that she's not just building a new ride, but redoing a fan favorite that was designed by the one and only Tony Baxter. A lot of people hold Tony Baxter with high respect, myself included, so she's got big shoes to fill in that regard. But without getting into the conversation about whether or not they should update Splash Mountain, whether or not the Princess and the Frog thing should happen, without getting into that conversation, the thing that I want to take from this piece in Essence magazine is that it's going to happen. That it does sound like Splash Mountain is going to be turned into a Princess and the Frog attraction. And I bring this up because since the beginning, I personally had my doubts about whether or not this thing would ever happen, mostly because I didn't really feel like they had a real plan. It was just sort of sprung on us. And since then, very little has been revealed about what it is that they're going to do. We have, what, 1 or 2 pieces of concept art? And that's in 2 years. 2 years is a long time to go without, really any kind of reasonable idea of what they're doing. In comparison, they announced Galaxy's Edge, or Star Wars Land at the time, in 2015 at D23. 2 years after that, at D23 in 2017, not only did we know what we had a full-scale model, they had a complete exhibit ready to go at D23 2017. And that was for an entire land with multiple attractions. We don't have anything like that for just a single attraction that is just a reskin, a redo of an existing attraction. So I wasn't filled with confidence that they really had a plan. But it does sound like they are working on it. It is going forward. It's going to happen. And that rumor a while back of a 2024 completion date does seem to be legitimate, which does make me think that there's a possibility we could be hearing about Princess and the Frog at this year's, speaking of D23, at D23 2022. Because we sure do need something to talk about with regard to Disneyland here at the Parks panel. I'm not expecting a lot, so this could be one of those things. But then again, maybe they do talk about Tomorrowland. But that perhaps is a conversation for another video. For now, let's talk about our last story, one that had everybody's eyes wide open when they first heard it. On Tuesday, it was announced that Adventures by Disney was offering a very unique travel opportunity. 24 days, 6 countries, 12 Disney theme parks, 3 iconic landmarks, and 1 private jet. All for just a smidge over $100,000, double occupancy. You go to every Disney theme park and the Taj Mahal, the Pyramids of Giza, and the Eiffel Tower. Turns out 3 scenes from Soarin' Over the World. The trip is all-inclusive, private plane, the finest hotels, and 68 meals. Oh, and did I mention you would be a guest at Summit Skywalker Ranch? That just gave me goosebumps thinking about that. But yes, the trip sounds absolutely amazing, unique, once in a lifetime, and probably impossible for most of us. Yes, most eyes are drawn to that price tag, over $100,000. Analysis. Who is this for? Well, obviously not you or me, of course, right? And it's another example of Disney's current mandate to find new revenue streams, revenue that didn't exist before. Magic Keys, they were gone for more than a year, thus making it new revenue, essentially. Genie Plus and Lightning Lane, Cotino is a great example. And now, super exclusive travel packages. And one could obviously say that Disney has turned their gaze to the more affluent guest for that new revenue, the Adventures by Disney travel package for $100,000. But you could say the same thing about some of their other plans. Cotino, for example. Those are not going to be affordable. And in some ways, you could say the same thing about Genie Plus and Lightning Lane. They are assuming that the people with a little bit more discretionary income will be the ones who are more likely to buy Genie Plus and Lightning Lane. And it may be true soon as well for the Magic Keys. It may become a little bit more difficult to purchase that Magic Key that has no blockout dates or no reservations, perhaps. Stay tuned on that. So I have a feeling we're going to be seeing more of these kinds of products in the future as Disney explores new ways to create revenue where none existed before, and some of those are going to be pointed at the more affluent guests. Meanwhile, we may also be seeing more products like Genie Plus and Lightning Lane. In fact, stay tuned to Fresh Bake because we're going to be talking about the reservation system and some potential for, microtransactions is the best way I can describe it. Stay tuned to Fresh Bake. We'll be talking about that soon. Otherwise, that's it for today, guys. Fascinating development with the Lake Nona Imagineering move. 4 years. Wow. But it's probably not about what most think it's about and could even be a blessing for SoCal Imagineers. Splash Mountain to Princess and the Frog appears to be a go. Hope you're ready for that. I'm looking forward to seeing more concept art myself. And start saving your money for that $100,000 trip around the world with Adventures by Disney. I'm going to start putting $10 a week into a savings account so that I can do this. That should take me, let's see, I should get there in about 192 years. So stay tuned for that trip report. Otherwise, follow us on Instagram at _FreshBaked, on Twitter at FreshBakedDizzy, that's fresh with no E, and on TikTok at FreshBakedDizzy. And if you like our show and want to show you support, please do consider joining our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/freshbaked. Otherwise, thanks again for watching, everybody. We love you. Be safe out there. Be kind to one another. And Fresh Baked